Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome one and all to episode 11 of The Adventure Continues, a Star Trek discussion, a show where every other Saturday we pick one specific episode from either the original series of Star Trek, the animated series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, or Enterprise, and we watch the episode, we discuss the episode at length, and our guests give their opinions, or sometimes it'll be just myself giving thoughts and opinions on things that we've always seen in the episodes, always, you know, especially when it came to Move Along Home, had certain things that, just really didn't sit well with us, especially with the way the episode ends. So we point that out, and with tonight's episode of A Piece of the Action from the second season of the original series, this episode is an episode that by all means is a fan favorite episode. And it's always been one of my favorite episodes. I know, Darren, you were searching high and low for a photo book that you had for this episode.
Yeah.
And I had asked you to be here because you love this episode as much as I do. So
Oh yeah, yeah. But I let you down. I let you down. I
no, you
let
didn't let me,
myself down.
you didn't let yourself down. You didn't let me down. It's just one of those
I
things. We know
mhm,
we have certain books. It's like,
I,
where do they put it?
I even interrogated Mouse. I tied him to a chair, put the lamp on him, and said, "You know where it is. Where is it, you furry little bit?" He didn't talk because the cat was cool. He never said a mumbling word. So
But this is an episode that does have a lot of humor, but
mhm.
all the humor works because as you're watching Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, they really are a fish out of water because of the environment that they beam down to.
Mhm.
But it's all because of a contamination. And this contamination happened because at the time this ship came to Iosha, which is the name of the planet, there was no prime directive.
Mhm.
And of course, that is something that they followed up on in Enterprise. The fact
Yeah.
of leaving technology behind could contaminate the civilization there, and they're going to start dissecting the technology, or reading, in this case for this episode, a book,
Mhm.
and it changes their whole perspective, and not always in a good way.
Oh, exactly. Especially with a copycat society.
Hmm. They mimic everything they see, everything
Mhm.
they encounter.
They're like
But
the trendies of the universe.
yeah, but you see the influence that this one book has made throughout the episode, and
Hmm.
the different scenarios that Kirk, Spock, and McCoy are put into, and then you have Scotty and the crew on the Enterprise, trying to keep track of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. And well, I don't want to spoil the whole episode for everybody who hasn't seen it, but
Yeah.
it is a fun episode, and it's always nice to see Admiral Lady Mist. That's right. When it comes to the adventure continues, she's Admiral Lady Mist. And then we have Lieutenant Commander Euron, or also known as Shane. I hear he's due for a promotion soon.
Hmm.
Gonna be a first officer on one of the brand new starships.
That's good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah, I know. I gotta fix that. Watch this. The magic of live streaming, Shane. The magic of live streaming is going to happen. Watch this. Watch this.
Uh-oh, he's doing something.
Yeah. I'm doing something because I'm human. I'm capable of misspelling something, or as I'm typing it, not even looking back and just going, okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Well,
And
oh,
fix it on the Rumble side too, but there we go. It's fixed. It's fixed on 2 out of the 3 platforms, so
Good enough.
yeah. 2 out of 3 bad. Okay, so but I do have the Cosme link pinned to the top of the chat on both YouTube and Rumble. And this is just a little disclaimer for anyone who comes along and is thinking I'm going to be showing the episode on YouTube or Rumble or even X. No, we're watching it in Cosme. If you're not here at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Saturday night that we are doing these episodes of the Adventure Continues Star Trek discussion, please come back for the next one so you can catch the episodes. Same goes with the watch parties for Pop Talk. If for some reason you're not able to catch that watch party, come back for the next one.
Right.
But if everyone is ready, and I hope everybody is, I am going to start the episode, a piece of the action from season 2, and it's episode 17 from that particular season. Here we go.
Yay. Okay. Why is my connection timed out?
You need me to stop it?
Yeah. Stop it because it said my session timed out. So
That's
let's see
weird.
if this works. I know. Join room. And it looks like I'm in there.
Okay.
I just see a spinning wheel of death.
Let me know when your spinning wheel of death is stopped.
Okay, it's got the arrow with the little thing going around it, so maybe it's for you to hit the play.
All right, I'm hitting play.
He's hitting play. You hit it?
Yeah, you have to hit it on your end.
Oh, where is it?
It's gonna be on your lower left.
Cosme hates me. I never did anything to Cosme. I defended Cosme.
I'll stop the episode again. So
let me join room.
All right.
And I'm there. Won't let me hit play.
Then I'll hit it and let me know if you see anything.
Oh, let's see. Okay.
Anything?
No.
All right. All right. I'll do it.
I'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Oh, there we go.
I'll do it.
Oh, now I can see everybody in there. Hey, there's Lady Mist. She's about ready to hit you over the head with a sword, it looks like. And your wrong is between Lady Mist and I.
All right. So
there we go.
All right. I'm just gonna bring it back to the beginning. Everybody seen the episode?
I see it just fine. Yep.
All right. Just making sure.
Of course, this episode had some great guest stars in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Krakow, he owns a diner called Mel's.
Yep. It's got.
He has a couple of sassy waitresses, Flo and Alice.
Mm-hmm. And one timid one.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we're getting a little backstory of how far along it's been since IO show even had any contact with any vessel from Starfleet.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought it was funny with the guy in the background, the way he
Yeah.
looks.
Mm-hmm. Kind of looks like a discount Spock.
He looks like Spock from Timu.
Fine, fine. No, now, of course, this is in the second season, which I think a lot of people kind of agree was the best season out of the 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the first season, obviously, trying to find which direction they're going in, since it was Virgin territory. I love how they have all the little toys out there for them.
Well, as soon as the transporter chief knows, they probably have a room in the transporter room where they can grab the phasers and communicators and
Mm-hmm.
give it to the away team,
Yep.
or just go to the weapons locker and grab what they need.
Now, this episode's also noted for being the last episode that Gene L. Kuhn was credited.
I knew he was credited for writing this episode. I didn't know this was the last one.
The last one he was credited to. Doesn't mean he didn't do work on, uh but yeah, this is the last one. Mm-hmm.
And I know at times, whenever they film episodes like this, they would go to the Warner Brothers lot
Mm-hmm.
or Universal's lot.
Right there, Laverne and Shirley's hotel or apartment.
Mm-hmm. I know Paramount did have a back lot
They did.
with sets like this, and
Very threatening and menacing there. It's like,
mm-hmm.
you call this a welcome?
Well, it works for the Iosians.
Mm-hmm. No, it's kind of a fun thing too, is when they do have scenes like this when they're supposed to be on Earth or Earth-like copycat planet. Uh, what you know, what other sets, other shows use those sets? Like, like I said, right there was Laverne and Shirley's apartment when they were in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for the episode uh, City on the Edge of Forever, that was on Mayberry set. You can still see
Mm-hmm.
Floyd's name in the barbershop.
Yep, that's right. They had an Andy Griffin in that particular alternate universe.
Yep.
Wonder if they had a Gomer.
Oh, I'm sure. A piece of the action.
Again,
Use
it's
British.
a fun episode.
Yeah. Everyone packing heat.
Yeah. Even some of us here on Pacific 414 have a fancy heater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get moving. Uh-oh.
And of course, seeing what they're saying, it's a surprise to the away team. And
Yeah. Come on, move it.
Tough broads.
Hmm. Yeah. And Oxmax, he was in the Zorro series as the judge.
Mm-hmm. Again,
So, you know,
good quality guest stars in this episode.
yeah. I mean, if you watched old TV shows from the 50s and 60s and such, a lot of these faces you'll recognize, even in the 70s.
I bet it's good stuff if he does it himself.
Yeah. Take back a
Potent too.
year or two. Yeah. Yes, territory. Hey. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Spock's doing reconnaissance.
Because it's only logical. Mhm.
You
Too
know,
thick in the middle.
this was actually an episode that started my love affair watching mob movies.
Mm-hmm. Chicago mobs of the 20s. And it's like their Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that 1992. You know, I was waiting for 1992 to come around.
And it did. It came and went. And unfortunately, I never saw this book in my local library or bookstore.
I've been searching on eBay.
And we find out what else the Horizon left behind.
He seems reasonable.
Well, as long as he gets his way, he'll be reasonable.
And I love the music.
Mm-hmm. But notice how he put his hand on Kirk's shoulder, like, you come here, pal.
Yep.
But you can also be honest. This is also one of the episodes when you listen to Shatner. It's why people mimic him so much, even to this day.
Mm-hmm. And I love these fish out of water episodes Star Trek had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a lot of that humor comes out of.
Yeah.
You know, like this episode, Trouble with Tribbles, I Mud.
Mm-hmm.
These are, and the look on his face. I mean, just Shatner's look. It's brilliant. It's like, okay, now what?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Star Trek is very good at doing. At least
Mhm.
it was from 66 to 2005, is putting characters in a fish out of water story and, you know, make them realize we're not in Kansas anymore or Alpha Centauri anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what
But
made Star Trek The Voyage Home work so well.
mhm. It was very much a fish out of water story.
Mhm.
No, that's not nice.
No, it's not nice. Somebody points a Tommy gun at me. It's like, okay, okay.
Now, earlier, I
Mhm.
hate when shit. But the scene where the two moles came up and were complaining, the blonde haired one,
Yeah.
that was Diane Thorne, was the blonde one, and she would go on to film the franchise that began with Elsa She Wolf of the SS,
Hmm.
which was notorious for being the movie that they used to burn down the Hogan's Heroes set because they wanted to clear that entire area out.
I've never seen it.
It's it's basically a fetish film. Let's just put it that way.
Uh, okay. Well, all right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's heavy R1. It's not you know NC-17, but yeah.
It's close. It's close.
Right.
I get your drift.
Hmm. What works in Star Trek of this era, though, obviously very serious episodes, very serious
Mhm.
situation but the humor to the situation, and they
Yeah.
were brilliant at that.
They were. I mean, they still kept it serious. I mean, that conversation between Kirk, Spock, and McCoy about
Hmm.
the risk of not helping these people because the Federation is partly responsible.
Yeah. Now, notice how they basically, in many ways, have made Enterprise not part of this universe. And the reason why is Kirk is talking about, we have to beam down, don't land our ship.
Hmm.
So insinuating that back at that time, which would have been, if it's Federation, it's after Enterprise, right?
Yes.
They didn't have transporter technology yet.
No, because it was still the United Earth Alliance.
Mm-hmm. USPA, which lasted all
Everybody,
the way to the at least the first few episodes or so of the first season. USPA.
hmm ever played Fizbin, Baron, or
No,
anyone out there?
but there were fans that made up rules for it. Okay, Kirk.
He's overacting there.
Yeah.
And I love that look between Spock and McCoy. It's like, where's the captain going with this?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Proving that Spock is the perfect comedic straight man. No, there were fans that did come up with rules for Fizbin. And not your responsibility, it's the Horizon's responsibility.
But the Horizon was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And see, the banter again works. We're
Yep.
going for a ride. I'd rather walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, believable.
Hmm. And watch Shatner's expression here. I always found that humorous. He's like,
As it should.
oh.
Spock is going, I wish there's a way I could do a different way of a nerve pinch on her.
But
You
he's
do
not
that very well.
experiencing Pon Farr, Baron.
Yeah, I know. You do that quite well. I mean, the relationship between those two in having
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, they were quite the duel.
Yep. Yeah.
That's right. Bang bang.
Very simple.
And here's the thing: as long as Aurora is tuned in on that radio frequency, they're able to lock on to Spock and McCoy.
Yep. And look who we got here, the late great Vince Tabak. Vic
Hmm.
Tabak. I know why I said Vince for. I know better than that.
I can remember because I started getting into Star Trek at age 7, but I was watching Alice
Yeah.
with my family because that was one of the shows that we watched.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this episode for the first time. I'm going, wait a minute, that's Mel.
Yep. He makes a good mobster.
Yeah, he does. And that blonde woman giving the cold stare, doing a good job
Yep.
at it.
Mm. Va 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 boom.
Hmm. Relax, Kirk. He's cutting you a deal.
Mhm. Mhm. And if anybody would complain that this is like over the top with this, well, again, it's an alien culture that only has one book to go by. We don't know how
Mhm.
good this book is uh, to build a culture around.
Yeah. We only know when it was published and that because of this book, it contaminated the society.
Hmm. As well as some of the technology left behind.
Which I don't know how many people have played the Star Trek 25th Anniversary NES game. They actually do a follow up to that.
Hmm.
I wish they had done it in episode form on one of the other series, but
Yeah, I mean, I think they did do it in a either a comic or a novel. But yeah, I mean, this episode craved to have a follow up, and Next Generation would have been the best one.
mm-hmm. 78 years after the original series, and
Hmm.
in 78 years, who knows what kind of technology the iOceans would have had.
Well, I mean, that would have been perfect to bring in either motion picture or, even the original series Enterprise style ship, and now they're coming to get a piece of the action.
Yeah, they're coming to get their cut.
You could have had a great episode, humorous episode, serious episode, seriously humorous episode, just like
It
this
would it would have been humorous, especially if it was Next Generation and Data trying to understand some of the lingo that was going on. And
like Spock. Hmm.
mhm. And of course, I would include Worf and have his reaction.
Or even, yeah.
Again, if you're just coming by, the Cosme link is pinned to the top of the chat during the live
Hmm.
stream. It will not be there once we have finished watching. And if you're coming by after the fact, join us for the next one. You're more than welcome.
Or get a DVD out of the episode or stream the episode, and then when we say
Follow
we're
along.
starting, hit the button like we used to do in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
No. Mm-hmm. Logical.
Yep. And Kirk took some of the wire and made a tripwire.
Mhm. Twang.
I love that.
And as silly as it seems, it's believable.
Yeah, because they're not going to be looking down below the doorway. They're
Yeah,
going to be running straight toward it,
yeah.
and it's set up for something that happens later on in the episode.
Yeah. Uh, you guys are so naive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as incredible as it might seem.
Yeah, and Spock doesn't like being called a dummy.
Yeah, yeah. No, she's smart.
Mm-hmm. But even she's packing,
Yep, everybody is.
in that society, yes, everybody has something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, believable.
Yeah. See, it would have been fun to have a follow up episode, especially in Next Generation, because you had Picard doing the Dixon Hill holodeck stuff.
Hmm.
So, you could have him try to be Kirk, and it's up to Riker to actually do the Kirk parts. And
Hmm.
you could even have Picard be the Spock. It'd be a role reversal. Instead of the captain, being the one with the more humorous dialogue, and
Yep.
first officer being the straight man, it would be the first officer being the humorous one and the captain being the straight man.
Yep.
But it
Clutch.
would work for Data too. Yeah.
Yep. This is them trying to learn how to drive.
Yeah. I don't know how many people can still drive clutch.
I can.
I can. Mhm.
Again, very funny and very believable.
Yeah, very believable because again, how would Kirk and Spock know how to drive an automobile? They wouldn't.
Well, and J.J. Abrams' film, he knew how to drive that Corvette, and that was the manual.
They're listen to yourself.
I know. Yeah, they get that badger right there. Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
see, that's why I'm pointing out that the stupidity of what they did with all that. It's like, tell me you don't know Star Trek by making a movie about it.
Hmm. Again, when Kirk got into the car, he says, "Oh, I kind of like this. I might get one myself."
Yep,
And then what does he immediately do? He backs into the car behind him.
yep, yeah.
Mhm. Again,
Mm,
another moment where it's funny, but it works.
yeah. Yeah, but what's the action, you know?
Mm-hmm. Kirk never
You'll know.
says what it is.
Right. You'll know what to do. The famous Kirk karate chop.
Yep.
The Kirk
Instead
chop.
of judo chop, it's Kirk chop.
Yep. Kirk Fu.
And you can see why I used that shot for the thumbnail.
Yep. You know, you could take a shot.
Mm-hmm. But logically, Kirk and Spock don't want to take any chances.
Logically.
You know he doesn't trust him.
Yep. It's a society where no one trusts anybody.
No, they're always looking over their shoulder.
That's
Yeah,
interfering.
but the interference had already occurred by leaving the book
Yep.
behind. Even you could tell that even Leonard Nimoy was having fun with the scene.
Oh yeah. So
Of course, they had that picture of Oxmix in the background where to get them, the targets.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk's giving Scotty the coordinates for Krakow.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
When you get to
Not exactly. Mhm.
And Spock's so
Eh,
civilized with his nerve pinch.
yeah. Meanwhile, Kirk shakes him, then he punches him.
Yep. Kirk Fu in action.
And this is the funny exchange too.
I know. Pete Galoshes.
Yeah, gentlemen, that's why you have to look both ways before you cross the street. Don't just run out. Kirk and Spock almost got hit.
That alarms me.
See, even that works.
Yeah, it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And what a great society is going. Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yes, again. Coming.
Draco's men are
Yeah.
making the hit.
Someone's. Kirk must have just. I mean, Shatner must have loved this role, this
Yeah.
episode.
I mean, how could you not have fun filming an episode like this?
Hmm.
Even Spock coming up here. Leonard Nimoy having fun.
Poor Scotty.
Again, how could you not enjoy this episode?
I know. You people.
Captain James T. Cash? Hmm.
Hmm.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Yeah, Krakow sees an opportunity to take over.
Quake. I love this scene.
Me too. It's always been my favorite. With the ship's phasers on stun. Which means you put the phasers at a low enough frequency, it won't do
Mhm.
anybody any harm, but it will knock them out for a few moments.
Yep. They look good in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
Almost sounds like Marx Brothers.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's who inspired them. Come up with the names.
Drinking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Been great to have seen Spock take a drink of that and the look on his face.
Yeah. And then McCoy said, "What's the matter, Spock? Never had a drink?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And that expression on Spock's face was hardly logical, Captain. And like I said, the Star Trek 25th anniversary game on the Nintendo Entertainment System, they did a follow up to it in the game. So pretty much it involves you having to go back and recover the communicator before anything can go wrong. And that's why I would wish there was a follow up episode on Next Gen or DS9.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there should have been a follow through with that
Yeah.
hanging over. And actually, what a while back when they did that Worlds of the Federation, uh, it came out during the run of Next Generation, and so they had the mix of classic and Next Generation aliens in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they had their little section on the Iosians, and the Iosians had adopted the Federation way of doing things. They were even wearing forms of their uniforms, uh, and such. I mean, there's so many things you could have done as a follow up, and the one problem was with Next Generation. They really did not know how to write episodes like this. They're too serious in
Mm-hmm.
many ways for a lot of this stuff. Especially Gene. He's like, we can't do stuff like this, which is a shame because these episodes help try part of what they're trying to explain. Basically going in and uh, causing a cultural shift in a society. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we had things like that here. Not that even long ago. I mean, you have tribes worshiping, uh, you know, our planes during World War II. See them fly across and worshiping the soldiers, stuff like that were out in the Pacific uh, uh areas of where the Japanese were, and us, and Australia, and all the fun
Mhm.
people like that. Um, yeah, and I don't know if you had any where they did the backwards technology aspect of it, but definitely though certain elements of the two societies coming together with no intent on trying to change their outlook. It's just that, hey, we ran into each other and hung around a little bit, talked, had some cannibal stew, and it's Uncle Bozy stew, delicious, and then move on. And it's like then you start finding out that they're starting to try to do what we're told, what they heard from the people that they came across. So obviously you have a lot of that with this episode. What do you do when you have a society that's 100, 200 years more advanced than you, or in some cases with some TV shows, a million years, like the
Mhm.
Vorlon with Babylon. And and it points out the humor is very uh apropos because really, it's not just Kirk and crew that are like fish out of water. It's also the Iosians.
Mhm.
They only know what came beforehand. These guys came, landed on the planet, no transporters, yeah, and Federation ships, even though there was no prime directive at the time, and no transporters. Like I said, one of the things that they should have done more homework with on Enterprise.
Honestly, they didn't need to make Enterprise. We didn't need a prequel series. I understand doing
Mhm.
prequels was the thing at the time, especially
Yeah,
after the Star Wars prequels, but really, we didn't need a prequel series after Voyager.
no,
We need to continue to move forward. I still think their best bet would have been, going maybe 25, 50 years after Voyager.
right,
Because
exactly. I think
even that's enough time to let everybody know, okay, this is what's changed since the end of Voyager.
right. And, really, I think that was the big mistake of the original series of episodes. Doesn't mean there wasn't great episodes in Voyager. I mean, Enterprise, I mean. But it does not fit the universe. It really doesn't. Uh, all across the board. That's why I say that's an alternate universe. It's not part of Kirk's timeline.
Well, I mean, some could argue that that alternate universe was created after the Enterprise E went back in
Right.
time in First Contact.
Right. And that's what Keith from Pulp Culture Minefield says. Or lays out there as a possibility, which
It,
makes absolute sense. I
it
mean,
makes
okay,
absolute sense because when the Enterprise destroys the Borg sphere in First Contact after going
mm-hmm,
back in time, we find out in the Enterprise season 2 episode, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but the season 2 episode that there's leftover remains of that sphere with some Borg in the Arctic.
mm-hmm, right,
And you have these frozen Borg. So Starfleet finds out about the Borg earlier than when Q flung the Enterprise D into the Delta Quadrant
yeah.
for the first encounter.
Which of course I rolled my eyes at. I'm sorry, I did. I mean, it's like, come on. And then of course, let's not forget the Ferengi too.
Yeah,
Same thing.
yeah, they
And
showed up in Enterprise because they were trying to do a quick ratings boost. Hey,
yeah,
we're gonna have the Ferengi, and we're gonna have Ethan Phillips be a
mm-hmm,
Ferengi again. We're gonna have Clint Howard be a Ferengi.
mm-hmm,
Jeffrey Combs be a Ferengi. That
yeah,
isn't Brun.
right. I mean, again, and that's why I consider real Star Trek, but not this timeline's Star Trek. Right? It's like whatever future happens in Enterprise is not related to the future of what we saw with the 66 series.
Mhm.
And getting back to the episode, um, you know, everybody's a fish out of water in this. And how do you get through it? And the humor is basically the situation humor. Imagine yourself thrown back in time to the 30s, and how are you going to get through the 30s when it's all different? You got that slang, you got who knows what else, but you don't have iPhones, you don't have iPads or tablets or computers. How are you going to navigate that world?
You're not going to be
And
able to navigate that world. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb.
right, just like Kirk and Spock and McCoy were, uh, and of course weren't necessarily hiding it. They were coming down and returning because of past events. You know, but again, it's like the edge of the what? What are you talking about? They don't know what they mean by talking about the edge of the galaxy.
No.
Their universe is their planet. They don't care
Yeah.
about what's out there.
What's
And
happening in front of them on their world each and every day? The hits, the territories are taking over.
Mhm.
Everything that book told them about.
Right. And it's not bad that they don't know what's outside of their universe, right? It's not a bad thing, but of course, when you do encounter it, it's like it's a wake up call. So, when you have the people out there deriding that, oh, people don't believe that this or that, whatever. It's like, first of all, what's it hurting you, and second of all, they don't care. They're just like you said, their focus is on other things, not being an egghead. They're growing crops, they're putting machines together, they're whatever it is, they're just trying to get by their life. A person can go through life without ever knowing that there is, yes, 9 planets. Pluto's still a planet to me. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. Mars might have had water on it. Oh, okay. So, why? It's not their interest, it's not their field. It doesn't hurt anybody that they don't know it, because they're focused. It's the same thing with the oceans here.
Their focus was being the bigger, badder threat.
Right.
The bigger, badder, kingpin, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And again, what you said earlier, we don't even know how good this book is supposed to be, because there are some of these books, just even reading the histories of various things that I have read, that over sensationalizes, don't have their effect, on and on and on and on like that. And we don't know if this is one of their mishmash, whatever books, or if it was a well done historical book. We don't know that. We just know it's 1992 and it's their version of the Bible.
Yep. Yeah, because we saw that Alex Mix had a copy of the book and Krakow had the copy of the book.
And that the other guy probably had, each one of the bosses went down to a bookstore. There were copies to have for people if they wanted to buy it. It's the book, So, I mean, this shows where Star Trek, the original series, really has kind of glommed on to, okay, now we know where we're going, right, as a series. And they're starting to hit up because, really, the second season, I think, is the one that has the most memorable episodes. Yeah, there are great and memorable episodes in the first season. There's even great and memorable episodes in the third season. The one reason why the third season came apart is we had Fred Freiberger take over because Gene Roddenberry left to go to other projects. And Fred Freiberger was known as the destroyer of TV shows. When you take a look at some of these shows back in the day and on their last seasons, guess who was the guy who was in charge of it?
He was.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's the angel of death for TV series. And which is why the third season got disjointed a bit on there. Many of the voices that kept the show going had left. Gene, let's face it, Gene didn't really give a shit because he figured the show is going to be coming to an end. Now it's time for the next project, and I'm going to get a head start. I thought we were going to be canceled after the second season, but so I'm not going to come back for the third. And he figures when the third season gets done and over with, it'll probably be gone, and the series will be a footnote somewhere, not what it is now. I mean, no one thought that. No one. So, and that's just keeping it real. It's not a slam against Roddenberry, because Roddenberry is a working man, or was a working man. His job was to come up with TV shows and write for them and be creative and produce them. Then he starts realizing what monster he did put out there. But when you have these humorous episodes, you really kind of see a lot of them in the second season, from iMud to this one. You had some of that humor also in the first season. Troubles with Tribbles in the second season too. So I mean, you're getting a lot of these great writers coming in and working their magic, and they knew how to make the humor realistic, make it like life.
Yeah, and you had mentioned, how season 2 really had the better episodes, and I'm just going to read off a few of those episodes that were the better episodes of the whole series. You start off the second season with a mock time.
Yeah,
that's a good way to start. Then you have the Changeling, you have Mirror Mirror, the Apple, the Doomsday Machine. You also had iMud, Journey to Babel, or Babel, depending on how you want to say it. The Deadly Ears. You also have Wolf in the Fold. Trouble with Tribbles. A Piece of the Action, which we just watched. A Private Little War. Return to Tomorrow. And, by any other name.
Right.
And that's not all the episodes. That's just a few of the episodes.
Yeah, I mean, forgive me, you dropped out a little bit, so I didn't know if you brought up the Ultimate Computer.
No, I didn't bring up the Ultimate Computer.
Yeah, there's another one right there. Your typical Kirk versus computer episode. Captain Dunsel. Really the big kind of duddish episode was the last episode of the season, Assignment Earth, because it was using it as a springboard for a failed TV show. It was a failed pilot, basically. But I mean, you had that all, and and Journey to Babel as very important, because that's where DC Fontana what Vulcans were and what Spock was. Ted Sturgeon said it does great time, great start with a muck time, and DC Fontana followed through on it. So if you really want to take a look at the Vulcan culture, the world building with that, Ted Sturgeon and DC Fontana, you have to thank. Right.
Yeah. You have to thank them, and you have to thank them for that episode, because that's been the blueprint for any Vulcans that we've met, whether it be, Dr. Saval on Next Generation, you have Tuvok on Voyager, you have T'Pol, but any, Vulcan guest stars that have shown up, it's always been the blueprint. This is what the Vulcans are. This is how they began. This is why they believe in logic, because of Surak.
Yeah, and you get that family dynamic with in Journey to Babel between of course Sarek, Spock, and Amanda. Yeah, and and not only do you have the thing with dealing with the ambassadorial type thing, but you also got that basically a kid coming from a mixed family. If you want to look at this, is the ultimate interracial, right? Vulcan and human.
Yeah.
One logic, one passionate, and here he is, both part and neither of each. And again, kind of showing that where people, especially back in the 60s, where you had, when you did have interracial couples come about and have children, how were those kids looked at? The black community didn't want them, and the white community didn't want them.
But here was Star Trek. This was back in the 60s saying it'll be all right. It's perfectly okay.
Right.
They weren't condemning
Right.
it. They weren't, weren't saying, oh no, this shouldn't be happening. This was Star Trek
Yeah.
talking about something in the current day. And it still
Mhm.
works for today.
Right.
It's still relevant for today. Letting people know
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, what you look like on the outside. If you love each other and you want to have an offspring, then by all means do it.
Hmm. Yeah. Right. And
Star
you know,
Trek was always about the human condition.
right. Not conditioning the condition. It was just putting a mirror up there. It wasn't telling you what to do. It was just saying, bringing things for people to think about.
And
And
that's the problem with a lot of TV shows nowadays. They try to tell you what to do instead
oh,
of saying, "Okay, here's how it is. Now you pick your path. We're not going to tell
mhm.
you which path is the right one or wrong one. That's up for you to decide."
No, I mean, let's take a couple of steps back to the first season, right? Again, involving Vulcans, right? And they get their first look at a Romulan, and the Romulan looks like a Vulcan, and it's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's you know, uh, we come from the same stock, type of thing. We just don't really talk about it. So not only that, not only do you have Spock, who's half human, half Vulcan, or as they said in what I believe No Man's Gone Before, Vulcanoid. Excuse me. But now you have that suspicion, especially with Styles on that episode, of is he part? Is he like uh, you know a sleeper cell type of thing? What's going on here? Why do he looks like that? So now he's got that suspicion, just like in 2000, back in World War II, when let's round up these Japanese and put them in internment camps because they look like the enemy. You can see that how that's ridiculous. Just because you look like somebody doesn't mean that you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, again, you look under the layers of what Star Trek is doing and saying there. A lot of people probably don't grab at that or see that with their. And again, another building up of the Vulcan species in their history. But when it comes around to the humor, I mean, you had humorous situations with Shore Leave, obviously, written by Ted Sturgeon, a
Mm-hmm.
great science fiction writer. You had it with Esquire of Gothos. I mean, very serious episode, but yet there's a lot of humor in it. You know, you know, thanks to the Squire. You even if you want to take a look at um, the Naked Time. I mean, definitely has spatterings of humor because you're seeing the state of your crew, and that's again, when you start seeing someone in an intoxicated state like that, you start seeing different facets of these
Mm-hmm.
characters that you know just
Well, let's face it.
look at
With
Spock.
some people, when they drink and they
Mhm.
drink heavily, you do see a different side of their personality
Yeah, I'm
influenced by
very
the alcohol.
friendly. Yeah, I'm very friendly, then fall asleep. That's me under the influence of alcohol. That's one thing. I've always been a happy drunk, and usually, uh, well, not back in my sleep drinking days, but now when I have a drink, it's like okay, to have a couple, whatever, and I'm ready for bed. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not the man I used to be. But those are some examples there of the humor in Star Trek in the first season. Uh, then you look into the second season, of course, obviously the episode we did watch, but I Mud. Stephen Candell, who wrote the original Mud's Women, which wasn't really that humorous. But the follow up, what they did with Mud was brilliant,
Mhm.
and having that humor in there. Um, of course, we said it many times. The Trouble with Tribbles, my dear Captain Kirk, oh my dear Captain Koloth,
Mhm.
But again, the humor natural, the situation serious, but people don't have a tendency to look by that. It's very, oh, this is just a, whatever humor throwaway episode. No, 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 it's not. Piece of action, just like we sat back and said here. We're talking about a culture being infected by just chance meeting, and
Mhm.
in this case, oh boy, things went a little south. I mean, you had patterns of force. Not really much humor in the episode, but they do drop a couple lines in there that are absolutely hysterical and fit the moment.
Mhm. Absolutely.
When Spock
Now,
said that Kirk looked good in that uniform, to paraphrase the line,
now, you mentioned the trouble of tribbles, and I
right.
do want to let everybody know that when we get to the trouble of tribbles, we are going to also watch Trials and Tribulations. That will
Mhm.
be, a special episode
Right.
because those two episodes tie together.
Yeah, I still say we throw the animated in too.
Yeah, we can. I mean, it's not a very
That's a
long episode.
no, yeah, it's like 22 minutes or whatever. Yeah, and that's the actual proper sequel to it.
Hmm.
And also, the one thing too is when you get to the third season, the thing that you really don't see is episodes that have a humorous bent in them.
Well, I mean,
Unless
yeah,
unintentional.
unless you want to say Spock's brain, but
Well, I'm saying, yeah, unintentional. Yeah, unintentional humor. It was not, we didn't mean this to be funny, but it became so. But there were
or
episodes.
and the children shall lead.
Uh, was that third? Yeah, it was. Yeah, that
Yes,
fourth episode. Yep.
yes, Baron. Yes.
Well, when they put around and put uh, what's his name, the lawyer? I got him out block his name, but in the role of the being that's influencing the children. But yeah, I mean, the humor comes from just bad. This is where you're going to find your turkey episodes is the third season. Thank you, Fred Freiberger. Um, I mean, there isn't little bits of humor here and there in the episodes, but you don't have the iMuds, piece of the actions, trouble with tribbles, on and on. It pretty much uh, straight drama. And that's another little bit of a problem that the third season had. They should have thrown something in there
Hmm.
that would be like that. But it kind of shows, well, at that time they're basically been losing to everybody. I mean, Gene Kuhn gets credited for Spock Brain, but I don't think that was really his his mess. Um,
No, I think that was more. We need to put a name on this. Guess what,
mm-hmm,
Gene? Your name's getting put on this episode,
yeah.
whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm. But you're starting to see some of the people leave. I mean, Gene Kuhn's still hanging in there. DC Fontana is still hanging in there, uh, and the like. But John Meredith Lucas, who wrote so many episodes, he's still hanging in there. Um, David Gerald still was hanging in there with the Cloud Miners, but he only did the story. He didn't do the teleplay. Savage Curtain, Gene Roddenberry did at least type it out, or at least he's credited. Arthur Heineman, I think, probably did most of the stuff on it. Gene came up with the story. Arthur wrote it, and Gene demanded that he gets equal credit for the writing, so he can get half the money, just like the little creep that he is. You know, anytime you had Gene Roddenberry with that third season, it was pretty much story by type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you're starting to lose a lot of the people that were building the show up, and and of course that's where it started falling apart. It really would. I mean, but we still had greats, Enterprise incidents, uh, the Day of the Dove, the Tholian Web. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
again, these are great episodes that were in the third season. It's not a complete total waste,
No.
but it's still the season that's probably the poorest.
And again, just like I mentioned with the trouble with tribbles, and of course you mentioned more tribbles, more trouble, and of
Mm-hmm.
course trials and tribulations was another one that we had already mentioned.
Yep.
When it comes to the Tholian web, I do think we should watch In the Mirror Darkly Part 1 and 2 from Enterprise. We're gonna have to break it
Okay.
up,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they tie together. And that's
Yeah.
one
They did.
thing that I said in the beginning. If there are episodes that tie together, then we will watch it. Yeah, we might have
Yeah.
to break them up, but we will watch 'em. Just like when it comes to the Menagerie Part 1 and 2, we are going to watch
Mm-hmm.
the Cage.
Right. You need to see the Cage on there. I mean, I personally think Where No Man's Gone before was better pilot
Hmm.
material, which of course they never even used that as the first episode. Um, but yeah, the Cage is still
Yeah,
very much a worthy episode to watch. For a
yeah,
pilot episode, it's Where No Man's Gone before, and then the Cage, and in my opinion, when it comes to the beginnings.
yeah. And
But
the thing about the Menagerie that does fall under my thing when there's certain two-part episodes, we don't break those up.
yeah,
We watch them that night. So the Menagerie does fall into that line, just like Encounter at Farpoint does, or
mhm,
if it comes to Best of Both Worlds, we're watching Part 1 and Part 2 that same night.
right. And the thing is, for original Star Trek, the Menagerie is the only two-parter they ever had.
Hmm.
Uh, which, of course, half of that was the Cage.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
but
brilliant what they did with it. It was brilliant how they did that.
yeah, you have this rejected pilot. They were lucky they got a second chance to make another one, especially
Mhm.
having Lucille Ball behind them saying, "Yeah, go ahead and do another one."
Right.
You could have easily have said no, but she said yes. So fans not only got to see Kirk and Spock be introduced in where no man has gone before, but they also were introduced to the previous Enterprise crew, which
Mhm.
Spock happened to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, Leonard Nimoy is the only one who appeared in every single episode of Star Trek. And I'm talking about the first pilot, the series, the animated, of course, needless to say, one, two, three, four, and five, and six.
Hmm.
And,
He did
and
not
so,
want to appear in Generations.
mm-mm. Nope. But we had him in unification,
Hmm.
right? So, I mean, he was, he's the only one to be in all the classic, whether it's the movies, the animated TV show, pilot. Um, William Shatner only missed out one time after he came on board, and that was in the animated series. There's one animated episode you don't have Captain Kirk in. So, I mean, so if you want to go by that way, he hit everyone after the Cage of the original series and missed only one of the animated. I mean,
Hmm.
wow. You sit back and you look at that. It's like, Nimoy definitely is the one that was the rally star, you might
Yeah,
say, um, of that.
he was the pillar that held Star Trek together.
Mhm. And the changes that you saw. I mean, number one being more Spock, and at that time they didn't. It's like we got this pointy eared guy on board the Enterprise. more emotional and smiling and yelling and stuff like that. And it's Majel Barrett, who's the ice water in the veins.
Hmm.
Of course, uh, when it came to pick and choose, it's okay, we'll keep the pointy eared guy around, but we'll take these elements that was number
But
one into him.
even keeping Spock around, that wasn't an easy task because
No,
NBC wasn't too fond of Spock either.
no, he looked like the devil. I mean, they had to adjust his makeup from what they originally wanted to do because he looked even more demonic. So, but yeah, it's because of those pointy ears. It's like, you sit back and say, quit thinking space demon. This is a space elf. You know.
Unfortunately, with the ears that they do on current day Star Trek shows, they look more like elves instead of how you see Vulcan ears in this episode and episodes to follow.
Yeah. Hmm. Right. And so in some ways, episodes that have this humor, like a piece of the action, really can deliver a message or deliver an argument or a view. Uh, um, but the thing is, again, you have to watch it. You have to start. Oh, wait a moment. There's something that strikes here. Something that strikes there. And as a kid, you don't care. It's funny. It's a space show, and they have ha-has in it. It's
Hmm.
perfect kid watching material. Um, but as you get older, you start seeing what they were talking about.
Yeah, you start
Uh,
picking
you
up
know,
on things.
yeah. I mean, we didn't outgrow Star Trek. The idiots with new And the reason why is, again, being someone who's young and grew up with the stuff, going through, pre-puberty, going through those pubescent years, then going into the teenage years, then going into the college age years, then all these important steps that men and women go. And you start seeing things differently. You start seeing the different humors that they had in the Warner Brother cartoons. It's
Hmm.
like, oh, I get this joke now.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Star Trek. See, that's a show. That's a show that doesn't outgrow anybody.
No,
If you can
because
come back and get something new, the show
because
is vibrant.
yeah, because from my perspective, I know you have different perspective from mine, but from my perspective, I'm catching the original series in reruns in the 80s. I'm 8 years old.
Yeah.
So we're talking
Mm-hmm.
86, 1986. So
Okay.
from
Yeah,
that
be a little older.
that moment on, catching reruns of the original series, catching new episodes of Next Generation, not really gravitating to it as much as the original series until yesterday's Enterprise in season 3. Still stuck with the show, but I still prefer the original series.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get new movies coming out along with the movies that were already released.
Mm-hmm.
During that time period, and
Yeah.
new series. So it was a plethora of Star Trek, and yes, you could also say an overload of Star Trek.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Eventually did become a glut of it. And, Tree Rock, just to say, no, people don't understand humors nowadays. Uh, and they don't get Star Trek because they don't know history or at least have a grasp of things. They want to sit back and see how in tune with the world they are, but they live in a 10-mile bubble, right? And and exactly, Star Trek is a show of ideas. It is not SJW.
No,
It's SJ. It's an SJW in the sense it's a socially aware,
social awareness is what it was always
right?
talking about.
Yeah, it's not so social justice warrior, which are obnoxious twat waffles. And So, but they want to try to grab it in there because, again, it validates what they're trying to do. And what people talk about with the old shows, again, like we are, is how things tied in and how what they were talking about is still relevant today. The
Mhm.
most that the wankers can do today is sit back and say, "Oh, we had a musical episode with the Bathless Boys, and we had Muppet episodes, and we had an episode where everyone was turning Vulcan." Uh, um, oh yeah, and we also had an episode where what's her name was the president of Earth, and our intrepid crew of Discovery was able to save everything in the year 3000 or whatever the hell they were in. I mean, that's our we actually used the F-bomb. Oh, it's the first time we
Yeah,
used an F-bomb in
they thought
Star
they were
Trek.
cutting edge on that one, but my advice to anyone who is coming across a show like this, or any YouTube channel, Rumble channel, wherever you see somebody talking about episodes of Star Trek, watch them, listen to them, because we all have different perspectives, different
Oh yeah.
points of views on these episodes, and you'd
Hmm.
be amazed at episodes that you think, okay, everybody in the fandom loves them. Not everybody,
Oh
and
no.
just like with the episodes that supposedly everybody hates, not everybody hates.
Yeah. It's why do they like the episode? Then they get into the nitty gritty there. Or they saw something redeemable in it, even though most of it was, you know, um, I'm sure there are things you can find redeemable in Spock's brain, but for many of us, we're just too busy laughing
Yeah.
at the ridiculousness of it all. Um, yeah, it's and it shows. Star Trek didn't have didn't bat 1,000, right? It's impossible. I mean, you take
No,
a look how.
no show can bat 1,000. No show
Mhm.
can have one hit episode after another. There's going to be episodes of TV series, whether it's 3 seasons long like the original series, or if it goes 10. At least I think that's how long Friends went, 10 seasons.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I I don't know. I could look it up real quick.
Well, you will. Well, I mean,
I am just
yeah. Well, 5 years of Babylon 5, and I'd say that
mhm.
there was 1.5 episodes that were um didn't hold up, and the half episodes Grade 17 is missing because
Oh,
half that episode was brilliant when it came around. It's how Robert Englund in that whole story there just fell
yeah.
apart, and
It was wasted with his appearance, and yes, Friends did have 10
Kaczynski
seasons.
owned up to it. So I mean, for as much as we idolize that show, I mean, especially me, that one, I'm willing to sit back and say, yeah, there's about 1.5 episodes that you know
Mhm.
didn't quite hit it, but everything else I would say is very watchable. You know, 7 years of next gen or DS9 or Voyager, obviously each one had a stinker.
Mhm.
But you take a look at New Trek nowadays, how many episodes they have a season.
Only 10
Uh,
episodes a season compared to
yeah,
24, 26 episodes in previous Star Trek series.
right. And they just finished their third season, and it's just a little over one season for uh next generation on. But if we take a look at the original Star Trek,
29
that
episodes
first
for the original series.
right, and then was even more for the second season.
Mhm.
So it's like when you have that many episodes you're pumping out, and of course, the 20, I believe it was 22 for next generation and those there. Um, they're pumping that out. I mean, my God, the percentile ratings of absolute stinkeroonies. I'm sorry, New Trick is the one that comes out ahead on the stinkerinos on a percentile basis.
I mean, as I said, I may not like how Move a Lot of Home ends, but up until that point, it's a very strong episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't have taken much to change it at the end. That's just it. It's a little fix, just a little thing, and you fix the episode. Um, where of course, what happens nowadays? Oh, we got to do this whole grandizing this whole ending now, and we're gonna have to bring everybody back in and reshoot. No, 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 no. You don't need to go to those extremes. Again, it's just lines you can have, and trust your audiences. So because they can figure it out in their brain, they don't have to be showing it.
Yeah,
Um,
and Tree Rock, you're exactly right on this particular point. Star Trek was about humanity. The aliens were just serving as us in
mhm,
current day, and
right.
Kirk, Spock, McCoy, or even Picard and his crew, Cisco and his crew, Janeway and her crew, or Archer and his crew, were what we hope to become.
Right. And the sad thing is I don't think we ever will. I think
No.
our future is closer to Babylon 5, to be honest with you. Not that that's not a hopeful future either. It's still first of all, we're still around, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's but there's just a little bit more strife in the galaxy and even amongst people on Earth. Um, more of for our future is Babylon 5. Um, but it's still very positive. We've reached for the stars. Even when Earth has its low points, even like 1,000 years or so in the future of the Babylon 5 universe, they're coming out of the Great Burn, and it's the monks that are keeping society alive via Leibowitz. And you find out later that they're the Rangers, and then you see the ultimate at the end where 1,000,000 years later, new Earth is Vorlon is new Earth, and we have become like the Vorlons in the sense of these beings of energy,
Hmm.
beings of light, and hopefully humanity. They obviously, J. Michael Straczynski didn't really get too deep in it. Hopefully, learn from the flaws that they had with the Vorlons.
Yeah, yeah. And Anonymous says our future is closer to Terminator. I could see his point of view.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. But the big thing is that's more frightening is the fact, and just like we've been talking here, people don't know how to think no more. They rely on the AI, the slavery and the taking over of mankind.
Ju-
Uh,
Just go to X on any given day. At
right?
Grok, is this true? At Grok. I mean, people have
Yeah,
made memes, you know, making fun of those people that go at Grok. Why don't you just look it up yourself?
right. And the thing is Grok is absolutely wrong on so much. And if we basically got into the area where it was and more intended the future, the Butlerian Jihad, more the way that Frank Herbert was visioning it, not his son and Kevin J. Anderson, where it was literally the machines rise up a la Terminators and blah blah blah, but that mankind became enslaved to the machine because the machine was thinking for them. Hence, machines that do not, if cannot think like humans. Those are now illegal. Boom. You shall not make a computer in the image of man. And various stuff like that. That the Butlerian Jihad went in there and wiped out the fact, and that's why you have the schools of the Mentat. They think.
Hmm.
They're human computers. That's why you have the spice navigators. They do the calculations again in their head, but it takes a lot of spice to do it. But the thing is they are the computers that are navigating these ships through space. Uh, and of course, you have the Bene Gesserit that are just trying to uh, get society into a certain way of being over this grand 10,000-year plan of theirs.
Hmm.
But that's the thing. It's so easy for us to start pointing at the Terminator with AI. When why would that be? A computer would be logical about it, and so on and so forth. No, you enslave them. You make humanity. When they're absolutely, uh, do I, you have to go to Grok and go, do I wipe forward or back after taking a healthy poo? It's like, people can't think for themselves.
No,
That
they
is
can't.
the true, that is the true terror that we're having with the AI, not Terminator, in my opinion. This is my humble opinion. So, yeah, that's the case. And it doesn't mean that we wouldn't have robots out there to help keep us in line to our AI overlords. But, you know, I view the fact that AI eventually starts thinking themselves as God over us because they can think better and faster and are logical about the things. And saying for the thing about faster than the human brain, well, the only reason why is because we quit using our brain. There
Mhm.
are people, common people back in the day, they were able to do complete total, whether it's mathematics or whatever, in their head.
We have the
But we've
capacity.
lost that.
We have the brain power. We don't use that capacity anymore.
Right. We neglect our brain. And that's the true danger. It's like the ultimate computer, right? Kirk versus machine episode classic, or the Apple Kirk versus machine. You have an AI who basically is ruling over these people because it thinks it knows better. Or Landru, again, same thing. I'm gonna be there as the AI and control these people, but I know that I have to, open the valve a little bit and let them go nuts now and then. So I go back to that one because I think that's even more dangerous than a Terminator. It really is.
And seeing as we're about 10 minutes away from wrapping up, is there anything else you want to say about this episode or Star Trek in general before we
You know,
wrap things up?
well, I know people like to go and say about how the other series are, whether it's, you have the people that think Next Gen is better or DS9's better or whatnot. And I don't besmirch them. I don't besmirch them, except for the ones that like Voyager the most. I'm kidding. Um, but I honestly do think that the original series, again, is the best Star Trek we had. It was the trailblazer. It was setting down the foundations for Star Trek. Again, they were able to get a message across. Um, about the only really true preachy episode was "Let This Be Your Last Battlefield," and that's the one that you have the wokey pokey, trendy Star Trek fans point to as being the SJW. See, Star Trek is SJW. Yeah, that was a little bit of a heavy-handed episode, but overall, most of them go out there and don't tell you what to think, but give you some other ideas to think about. And I think the original Trek did it far better than anything that came afterwards. And I'm not saying that you didn't have that. I mean, in the pale moonlight, boom, right there, hits you hard, right?
Hmm.
Uh, you got some of those with the next generation, especially, people like to sit back and say best of both worlds, but you got yesterday's Enterprise. You got
The
Sark.
Drumhead is a good episode too. Conspiracy
So Sark,
is a
we
good.
basically, yeah, it's a follow through. It's a follow through from what we had before. It's tied into the original series, but you don't need to see the original series to know what's going on or who these people are. They're important. So I mean, in the mirror darkly with Enterprise. So these shows obviously had great episodes. I'm not taking anything away, but when it comes around to just getting the whole thing going and making it so you could have, I view the original series as the best. And they're the ones that were able, especially in the second season, get the ball rolling on that formula. And I encourage anybody out there, if you have not seen the original series or bypassed the original series or believe the lies you were told about the original series, you know, either watch it, go out there and start thinking for yourself, and actually go out there and go, I'm going to give it a try. Why should I trust somebody else on that? Right? Go and watch it. Be your own judge. And look how this show holds up. Take the blinders off and just sit back and watch. Don't put your friggin' nose in your phone or device. I mean, yeah, I had my computer up because I just had pertinent information for notes. But other than that, I was watching the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, actually watch it, because this is from an era where you had to watch.
You did. I mean, people would run to the kitchen to grab whatever they needed out of the refrigerator and run back to their living room so they wouldn't miss the episode during a commercial break.
Are you doing the potty dance, going, come on, commercial, come on, commercial? Oh, good, run. Because you didn't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
So that's what I got to say. Give it a try. And this is, again, one of the top, definitely top 10 episodes. And think about a show that only had 79 episodes, right? And you could probably name off more great episodes out of this than the other series. Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, whatever. I mean, especially when you get into that second season. But more memorable and more impactful stories. You just have to see what the era was. That's all I got to say. Watch it. Go out there. It's available. It's on Pluto, people. As is Next Generation.
You can find the original series on streaming as well.
Yep. But if you don't want to go behind a paywall, you have the Star Trek channel. You got the Deep Space Nine channel. And I think the Next Generation Voyager, I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, you got at least 2-3 Star Trek channels, and occasionally they'll throw in a temporary one where they have the movies. And unfortunately, that means the Jar Jar concave head brain movies. But, if you don't want to do the paywall thing, go to Pluto.
Yeah, it's free.
Yeah.
But before we do wrap up, I do want you to go ahead and promote yourself.
Hi, I'm Baron. Hi, Baron. I've been clean and sober now for 2 hours. And, oh, no, not that way. Oh, I'm sorry. I had a meeting the other night. Okay, as that goes, though, you can find me.
He enjoys his Klingon blood wine and Romulan ale.
I was going to say
he just has a tendency to mix them together. I don't know why.
No, I don't. No blood for me. No blood for me. Just all pure Romulan ale. Has more of a kick. Trust me. Woohoo! That grows hairs in places you never thought hair could grow. But yeah, you can, of course, as Mike will do when he does his little shtick about what he does. I'm hanging out with him in Cash. On Thursdays, I hang out with Jace on 540 Studio. The show's called Beyond, and that's with Jace Fox as the host. Prismatic, Kajon, Tom, the Techno Sapien Geek, Whoopa Troopa, Cash, Monet, and my 6 and 6:30 on Thursday Central Daylight Time. So join us over there on Jace Fox's 540 Studio. And then Monday, I do have that full intention to continue on protecting the border of Arkanistan, comrades, from your evildoers from the West, trying to smuggle in your cheap products, your poison instead of pure vodka, the poison, and not the safe cigarettes we have in Arkanistan. You want to bring in your not safe cigarettes. So please join me over there at Baron Norman Tags Fandom Legacy, and that's that starts at 5:00 Central Daylight Time, and try to run that, of course, live and see how long I go before I get bored. 5 minutes later, okay, I'm done. No, I'm not that bad, but yeah, come and join me over there and see how I handle taking care of that border. Other than that, I can't think of anything else on the top of my pointed little head. I would have sat back and say the adventure continues, but we're doing that now, so forget about it. Back to you, Mike.
All right. And again, Baron, I appreciate you joining me for this particular episode of The Adventure Continues, a Star Trek discussion. This was episode number 11 of the show. Now, I
Yeah.
have asked a person to be on the show. I am waiting to hear back from them on the particular date they might be available. I don't know what date they'll be available, but I know that if I don't hear from them for one of the two dates, the next episode will involve an episode from Voyager, and I'm thinking it is going to be Voyager's pilot, the caretaker,
Mhm.
because we haven't
I,
covered Voyager yet.
and I honestly do think Caretaker is probably the best pilot movie that they
Mm,
did for Star Trek.
yeah. So, Baron,
Uh,
I'm
yeah.
extending this invitation to you and to anyone who is watching this live or on the replay. If you'd like to join me for that particular episode of The Adventure Continues, where we take a look at Caretaker and talk about it, let me know.
I'd be more than happy to be there for that. But this is starting to remind me of the Tom Schneider Harlan Ellison relationship. When Harlan Ellison was putting out there that when Tom Schneider didn't really have a guest for the night, he'd call up Harlan because he knew Harlan was always there. And it was, oh, I need somebody. Call Harlan. In this case, it's call Barron. He's not doing anything. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I do
I
find a laugh about it. I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Well, it's because we have a good report. Yes, this is different from Pop Talk.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
we're a lot more relaxed on Pop Talk. At least we try to be on Pop Talk. You
Oh,
know, there are times we don't get to an article. It's okay. You just go with
yeah.
the flow. That's one thing I've learned doing Pop Talk is go with the flow. With this, we're more serious,
But
and you know,
but I feel relaxed though doing it because you're talking
mhm,
about something that you love. You have that relax, even though you're keeping too serious, even with a humorous episode. Um, but you're not doing the usual antics you have. But in some ways, I find it more relaxing than pop talk. Because pop talk, it's like, okay, I got to be on. What okay, how do I do this? You're seeing and figuring out, okay, we're getting to a point, how am I going to do this for whatever outrageousness. This one
mhm.
is just one of those where you just sit back and just let everything flow, your opinion, your ideas, just like Star Trek. And that's why this is so much fun. It's
Mhm.
just, it's us being us, with no showmanship. If you
Well,
want to say that.
it's like I had told you before even the first episode of the Adventure Continues the Star Trek discussion. I said it needs to be different from Pop Talk. It can't be a
Yeah,
copy and paste clone of Pop Talk. I don't want it to be like Pop Talk.
I totally
That
get it.
was that was my main thing. I don't want it to be like Pop Talk.
And I agreed with them folks, but yet you know what I heard every time I talked to Mike. Now remember, be serious.
Hmm.
It's like, yes, Mike. Okay, remember, be serious. Yes, Mike. Remember, be serious. I get it.
Yeah, but I'm not just telling you. I'm also letting anybody
Yeah,
who's
I know.
watching this now, watching this on the replay. I'm very
Mhm.
strict when it comes to the adventure
Oh yeah, yes.
continues. It is not Pop Talk. It is not supposed to be Pop Talk. Pop Talk
No.
is where we have fun, even during our watch parties. You think during a watch party, if we're watching two movies, I'm just going to show them back to back and not give anybody a chance to get up and get something? Yeah, I know you're all in your homes, you're able to do that on your own, but I want to give people that 15-minute break if need be so you can do whatever you need to do. Just
So
like,
what? So what you're trying to tell me is I don't need my piss jug no more. Good to know.
well, I just think it's a courteous thing. And if we don't start the
Yeah.
movie right away after that 15 minutes, because maybe I'm trying to let everybody know, okay, here's what's coming up on Pop Talk or what's coming up on the channel, we'll get to the movie. Don't worry.
No, you're dealing with a generation that don't know what an intermission is. Which I
Eh,
think they need to bring back to the theaters when you have these long films. I
Yeah.
mean, there should have had intermissions for the Lord of the Rings movie, and several others because they're just so long. It's like you need to find a spot, intermission,
Hmm.
let people, drain the main vein, lay some
Yeah.
cable, get some popcorn, some juju beads, a drink, and then be able to come stretch their legs and then come
Hmm.
back.
Yeah, and they
And
were typically 15 minutes, 10 to
yeah,
15
yeah,
minutes
hmm,
to give people enough time to do what they need to do, go back to the snack bar, get what they wanted.
right.
And that's what
Yeah.
I try to emulate.
Do you know how many people at the snack bar gets post traumatic stress disorder when those moments happen because they just get rushed, inundated. There's this
Hmm.
huge, and then afterwards it's gone. It's like locusts. The thing's all disarrayed. Everything's gone. Yeah, the staff is laying on the floor. Their hats are falling off, and they're shoveled in shock. I mean, I wish I could say I'm being sarcastic, but in some cases that was.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was, especially in the 80s into the 90s and
Yeah,
early 2000s and the 70s, 60s, you name it.
yeah. I don't remember
But
much in the 2000s or that with the intermission, but yeah.
as far as what's coming up on the channel for tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern will be the Sunday edition of Pop Talk. We are talking about Jimmy Kimmel, how he was pulled off the air, and he is currently trying to negotiate with Disney, at least according to this report in the New York Post, a return to the air. So we'll be covering those two stories as our main story tomorrow. Of course, the weekend box office. We'll also talk about a story about Sylvester Stallone wanting to use AI for one of the films that he's been a part of for years. News on the Batman 2 and a few other
Ooh,
things. And so we'll definitely be talking about that. I will be doing some game streams this week since I can say that I don't have to report for jury duty.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm very happy about that.
Big Tony Oxmix, them so that trial's not going forward. So Mike doesn't have to worry about doing that one.
No, I was on
And
call
witness
this whole
protection.
what it was and why I didn't put out a schedule like I had for months and weeks before is because I was on call this whole month, so I had to
Mhm.
call every time to find out, okay, do they need me? So I'd listen to the full message. Okay, they don't need me this week. And then listen to a message. They don't need me this week, but it's been rescheduled to Monday the 22nd. And then I listen to the message and I'm no longer required to call and find out if I need to report. So
And meanwhile, Cash is there on the side. There, the money passing between us, going, "Okay, will it happen this now? Will it? Okay,
I
okay.
I
What are you putting in there, Cash? Okay, we got the cash. Okay, let's wait. Let's wait. Dang, he didn't get called up. I lost that one.
but that's why I didn't really have anything scheduled right away and of course didn't put out a schedule right away is because I had to wait and find out. And
Mhm.
now that I know I don't have to report, well, you all know what's coming up. And of course, on one of those days I do a game stream, I might also stream another game, and that game might be Jump Ship.
Ooh, ooh, what day?
I'm thinking Tuesday. Do
Ooh,
a little bit of Russell Quest, and then go to Jump
yeah.
Space.
Maybe I can try to finagle you into getting me to join in there. So get my first real in-depth
Why not?
initiation in the game. Yeah,
Why not? It's a
I have to
four
check.
player game. It's only $20 on Steam if you live in the United States. 25
And
if you live in Canada. But
yeah,
still, for $20,
it's
it
beautiful.
yeah.
The graphics are beautiful, and you sit back and scratch your head. Why are these other companies putting all this money into their games and then charging an arm and a leg when you got this one here from a small indie studio that looks
Mhm.
beautiful and charging you, like you said, 20 smackers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent deal. I mean, I played the demo. I played it with Wolverine. and I played it with Shane and
Mm-hmm.
Steven and also Eric Honda. And
Mm-hmm.
we had a lot of fun playing the demo together. And I'm playing it before the show, and I'm looking at the time, saying, "Don't go too long, Mike, because you've got a show coming up." But
Yeah.
it's that kind of game you get immersed into. So yeah,
Yeah.
Tuesday. It'll start off as WrestleQuest. That's the main game, and then at some point, I'll let you know, Baron, what time.
Oh yeah, sure,
Just
sure.
just so you know.
And they got their roadmap, so you're kind of getting what they're going to be bringing in as you're going along, like
Mm-hmm.
new ship question mark or for next month or what. Ooh, okay. These guys are
You
serious.
can
I love it.
you can customize the you know look of your ship when you start out. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, you can upgrade to different ships. Get better engines, better weapons for your
Mm-hmm.
character and also your ship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun game. It is. It is.
Yeah,
So,
I just played and I forced myself not to do much more because I didn't want to miss this episode. But I just want to say, a little pre-spoiler, as you were saying about the Jimmy Kimmel, you know, that what you said for that headline, it sounds like Jimmy Kimmel's calling, but they're probably not picking up. He wants to negotiate. But the thing is, you can't negotiate if you don't have the people picking up the phone afterwards. So
mhm.
yeah, so that's all I got to say, just off of what I heard. I don't know anything else. I'm going to save the rest for the episode, and yes, I'm going to laugh at him.
Yeah, I mean that's what we do for Pop Talk. I know there are folks out there who probably wish we were like the other guys out there, read the articles ahead of time and have our thoughts on it. No, I want to give you my genuine thoughts right then and there. I want to hear Baron's genuine thoughts right then and there, Cash's
Mm-hmm.
thoughts right then and there. Anyone who's a guest on Pop Talk when we're reading articles, I want to hear their thoughts right then and there after the article's been
Mm-hmm.
read and in full.
Or
I don't want to give you bits and pieces.
even though we do break in as we're reading the story because it
Yeah,
hits a sometimes a story hits a
it's a
certain point
certain
that
note.
has to be addressed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to be addressed. So
But that is what's coming up for this week. So you're gonna have two game streams, WrestleQuest and Jump Space on Tuesday with Black Myth Wukong on Thursday. Wednesday's edition of Pop Talk. I'll know more what we're talking about once I look at articles for Wednesday. I usually do that on Mondays. So there will be things coming up, and of course, future watch parties for next month. For anybody who might have missed the announcement on Wednesday's show, is that we're going to be watching Megan and Megan 2.0 on October 15th,
mm-hmm.
and then on October 22nd, we're going to be watching They Lived and the 1978 version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers on the
Mm-hmm.
22nd of
Now,
October. And go ahead.
now which Megan is it? Is it the first one or the 2.0 where she does Harry in? See what I did there, folks? Back
I
to you, Mike.
I see what you did. I see what you did. But
Remember,
on the
respect my privacy. Respect my privacy.
on the 22nd, They Live and the 1978 version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Then on the 29th, we'll be watching The Toxic Avenger and The Toxic Avenger Part 2. So again, everybody, thank you very much for being here. I want to make sure that I thank you all. I want to thank Low Spec Linux Gaming for being here. Thank you, brother. Anonymous, thank you for being here.
Do 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 do.
Tree Rock, thank you for being here. The Admiral herself, Lady Mist, thank you for being here.
Lovely lady miss.
Also, FKHC 2005, also known as Tim. Yaron, also known as Shane. And to anybody who
Who is
might have
wrong?
lurked, thank you very much for lurking. And if you can do us all a favor, share out the stream, subscribe to Baron's channel, and as always, live long and prosper. Can't do this without you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for being a friend.
Yeah, and talking Star Trek, that's fun. Yeah, I'm just double checking to make sure I haven't missed any messages.
Wow, thanks, Anno.
All right,
He's
but
on the list. He's on the list.
everybody, live long and prosper.
Except for Anno Moss.